Ah, what a long flight. At least I finally arrived here on Titan, the first place where the Jedi originated. How exciting. As you can see, the big temple behind me, and as the Master Jedi, I'm going to go out and explore. Oh, what's that? I suddenly have a really bad feeling about this place. What's going on? What's that? I was just arrived out of hyperspace. Oh no, it's not, is it? It's not the Death Star, is it? Get inside the building, quick! So Krennic, I'm here to view the potential of this super weapon you have created, the Emperor. Yes, Governor Tarkin, I'm hoping you'll report back the success of our facility to the Emperor himself. Krennic, I'm ordering an immediate test fire in this town below. Test fire this vanilla command block Death Star now. Yes, Grand Moff Tarkin, we will begin the test fire immediately. You heard Tarkin, charge the lasers. Yes, Director Krennic, we'll begin charging the lasers now. Beam accelerator, on, target locking, on, full power beam, on, artificial gravity, on, initiate laser sequence, on. Hello everybody, this is Crafting Redstone and welcome back to the second part of the video. So I hope you all really enjoyed that first part, and I am very sorry for that horrendous acting. I know it is cringeworthy. But yeah, here we are at the second part of the video. You've seen the showcase of what this Death Star can do, and no, there is no trickery, it is just command blocks. And this second part of the video, I'm going to be basically explaining what those command blocks do, giving a tutorial so you can make it on your Minecraft world, and I might even provide it as a download at some point in the future. So yeah, we're here at this second part of the video. I'm going to be showing you around the Death Star. I'm going to be kind of giving you a quick tour, that sort of thing, and then we're going to be having a look at each individual command, see how they work, and then we're kind of going to go down this area behind us and see kind of like what it does, and possibly have a second test fire, just show you what it looks like on camera. So, well, without the replay mode, because it's still on camera, but you know, like with like normal recording. So here we are, second part of the video. So I guess we're going to start off with this tour around the Death Star, and I hope you're excited. Here we go. So, welcome to the outside of the Death Star. I'm just going to give you a quick tour around here. So here is the like big dish sort of thing which focuses the beam, and in the films I know it's up there, it's just a bit impractical for Minecraft because you can't really aim at the ground. So in this one it's there, it's just so you can focus it at the ground, and that is basically the only reason why it's there. So it's kind of got these rings around it, which is a bit like the Death Star in the film, except from it's not knocked out all the way around. It's just got this one opening here, and you might be noticing something, and you probably notice it in those clips as well. I am in fact using Minecraft shaders. The one I'm using is Sildor's Vibrant Shaders Extreme, and I picked this one out especially because of this water effect here. I thought the water looked quite a lot like a force field, which I think is epic, and definitely achieves what I wanted with like this little opening here. So at the beginning of this like little video here, you probably saw the TIE fighter flying in, and if you didn't know, yeah, that was meant to be a TIE fighter. I kind of overlaid some footage, and I was quite pleased how I did that, but yeah, it's meant to be a TIE fighter, and it comes and parks itself in here, which is kind of just a TIE fighter bay. Well, with force field, it just looks so cool. I'm so pleased with that. So here is like the little TIE fighter bay, not too impressive. It doesn't really match too much with the films either, it just kind of looks cool. So you come down this like dark, dingy area down here, and you run down the stairs, and you suddenly get this corridor here, and you can see there's two different ways. So first of all, we're going to go down this side of the corridor, and we're going to be quite brief because I know you're all waiting for the command, so we'll be very quick on this kind of describing the interior. But we've got this screen here, which is meant to be like a little screen for workers typing in stuff, and down here you can see it's got a bit of like force field blocking the way, but there is a little path down for the workers, and this is where all the Death Star works from. So as you can see, there's these big chambers. Unfortunately, they have exploded due to the massive amount of TNT in them. They're not meant to do this. You can see they've got water and an obsidian, so they're not meant to explode, but they have done. So this, I'll describe this little area as like the maintenance area, and yeah, we've kind of got this decoration. If you've seen Star Wars, you'll know. Well, maybe not if you've seen it because it doesn't really mention it, but something in Star Wars is something called kyber crystals, and this is what powers the Death Star. So I tried to recreate these here, like big kyber crystals. They also power the lightsabers, but yeah, that's what I tried to recreate back here, and I'll show you a version later where they're actually all built up because they have exploded here. So let's head down to the other end of the corridor. So now to explore the other end of the corridor, you can just see it loops round, and we've got this staircase here. So we're going to go right to the top of the staircase first. We'll go through the lava, oh maybe not. Quite difficult with staircase, a bit of a helix shape as you can see. It's quite difficult to fly around in. Pretty easy to walk though. So we come up here, and there's not a right lot up here. It just, this kind of room what is at the top of the stairs, not much at all. But it's this main room which I put a lot of effort into building. It's got a few inspirations. It's not based on any one Death Star. I've taken it from 3, like the main films, like the first film, well, technically the 4th, but you know what I mean. The 4th film, Rogue One, and also, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Force Unleashed game. Now, I took inspiration from that because I thought that Death Star build was really cool. It was really open, and this is where I kind of got inspired to build these big columns, because in the games, I don't know if you played it, you have to kind of avoid the lasers when they're firing down these big tubes, and I've tried to recreate this here on both sides. The Rogue One inspiration comes in with all its chairs around the edge. It doesn't really influence it too much, but it has got like a control panel there, and we've got Krennic here, so it does influence it a little bit. There's a bit of Star Destroyer influence down here. There's like little slits in the ground for where the workers would be working, like typing in commands, as I said, that like down there with the monitor. So this is where all the commands are actually, and this is where you'd like turn on the Death Star. And it's also got a bit of the main film, so it's got like a Palpatine's little chair and things like that. And quite a lot of like the building blocks I've used is also themed from the Force Unleashed game, because it's kind of used like these circles around the Death Star, so I've tried to recreate that a little bit. It is themed off many things, it's not meant to be one thing, it's kind of just my own build for this really. And here is a bit of a force field protecting the power generator. So these are meant to be like big force field emitters or something, and then there's the power generator. And we've got this big open window at the front showing you like the effect down below. So that is pretty much the interior of this place. So now we've concluded the aesthetics of the Death Star. We've had a look at the interior and we've had a look at the exterior. So now we're going to have a look at every single command involved in making this Death Star work. So I'm going to load up the Death Star in a kind of void world so we can show how it works. And yeah, I'm going to explain every command so you can recreate it in your world. Or if I provide the world download, you probably won't need to do that in that case, and then you can just copy and paste it in. But it's good to have a good understanding of the commands. So here is the command section. So we're now in the world where the TIE fighter scene was filmed, and this is a complete and functioning Death Star. If we come down here, hopefully we can see the crystals haven't blown up on this one. So yeah, you can see they're kind of intact over here. So before having a look at those, we're going to go have a look at those commands, and I'm going to do a bit of explaining on how they work. So let me explain the relevance of this crystal, because it does affect these command blocks. Now, it can be replaced by any entity, but because I was doing a lot of calculations, kind of figuring out where the command blocks were, figuring out where other stuff needed to go, and I did that many times. I needed some sort of reference point so I didn't have to change the coordinates every single time, and this is where this crystal came into play. It kind of, you use an execute command, let's see if we can find an example of this, and execute at the end of crystal, and it kind of just gives you one place so I don't have to keep changing the coordinates when I'm figuring out stuff. So yeah, that is why the crystal is there, if you're wondering, in the other commands with the execute command. So let's head under here, and first of all have a look at these big beam tubes. So first of all, we've got this here, actually it's the one underneath, this here which summons in TNT just above here, and the TNT gets summoned in the middle, and it travels down into these crystals, and I'll do a demonstration of why they're there in a minute. Most of it's aesthetic, but yeah, it kind of just makes it look a bit better in the end when it kind of fires back out. So yep, this summons TNT with a slight motion moving down here. Well, it's actually it has actually a movement of 5 in the minus X coordinate, if you see. So it's summoning it 2.5 blocks above. Let's see if is there any. No, it's just summon. So summon Minecraft TNT 2.5 blocks above, and it's traveling in the -5 direction with a fuse of 127 ticks. So what will that be? About 6.5 seconds sort of from there, and before it explodes. So it travels into here, and up here it kind of just resets the fuse again, because I don't want it exploding. Well, it did end up exploding in here, but you don't really want it exploding because you want it to travel out and then hit the ground and explode. So you've got this one here which is using an entity data and changing basically all the TNT in that area to a fuse of 127 ticks, sorry. So that is what that is doing, and I'll explain the other command blocks further down there in a second, because, well, actually I can do it now. Basically it comes into here and a load of TNT builds up and then is reflected back out as kind of a bit more of a solid beam. It's not as spaced out, it's kind of all bunched together. And these also stop it from exploding inside a like tube for the laser. I'm going to call it laser from now, or maybe beam occasionally. And then it kind of gets accelerated a bit in the X coordinate, just by 1. I'm not quite sure how fast this equates to in like blocks per second sort of thing, but accelerates it by 1 in the X coordinate, and it slowly comes out of here. And there is one extra command in there which I'll explain on the like targety bit in a minute. So if we come back up to here, I'm going to explain this beam accelerator thing. So there is an off button, that one, and there is an on button. So if we have a look right now down here, and have a look on top of this one here, you can currently see it's stone, which is off. So basically what these commands do, they are executing again at the ender crystal, and then setting a block on top of this one here. So when it's off, it's stone. Well, it can be any block which doesn't like emit redstone signals, but when it's on, it will change that block to a redstone block, and therefore it will activate it. So you can see now it's probably going to be running. Wow, it's got no TNT, so found nothing. But yeah, it's currently running, and that is because the redstone block is on there, and it transfers the power all along here. So if we come back up here, and we can just turn it off again, just to prove it does just turn it off, and place the stone block back on top of there. Yep, you can see it does, and it does this for all 4 of these tubes. So all 4 of them have got blocks around. So yeah, that's what that does. The next little command is the artificial gravity, which basically this enabled the entire project. I was watching a video on a snapshot. It's quite an old snapshot now, but I noticed there was a no gravity tag, and I just thought, wow, this could have a lot of potential, because usually when you're making a Death Star, you'll just see it kind of, when you fire out TNT, it'll just flop to the ground and not really do anything. So with this no gravity tag, it made a lot of things possible. So no gravity 1, all TNT, which basically means the TNT will float. So that enables you to kind of like put it into a point and then fire at a specific point on the ground, rather than kind of just firing out these tubes and going flop. Or actually it'll just hit the bottom of these tubes and explode. So yeah, that no gravity tag has enabled the entire thing to work, which is why it's called artificial gravity, although it's just kind of no gravity. So yeah, it's got the no gravity, and that is essential for making this work. So next one, which shall we do? Full beam power. This is more for when it hits the ground, so most of the ground terrain is going to be grass if you're in like a grassy area, like the temple scene which I fired it on earlier. So therefore we kind of boost the power blades, because if you just fire TNT, it would kind of just make a big hole in the ground. It wouldn't do a right lot, it wouldn't be very eventful, it wouldn't spread out like you saw on the video, like destroying everything in the area. It would just make one big hole in the ground at one point and not have it be very wide, and it wouldn't have a very large area of effect. So basically what this one does, not that command, this one here, it's saying execute at every TNT in the outside the radius of 100, because if you had it going off in here, obviously it would destroy the entire thing. That wouldn't be too good. Actually, there's no grass in there, so don't forget that. It wouldn't destroy the entire thing, but I've just set it to be over 100 radius anyway, just to be safe. So it's got this over 100 radius thing, and it's got the execute at TNT again, and the RM just means over the limit. If it's R equals 100, it will mean within 100 meters, and I believe that's like a circular thing around. It's not like a square. So within 100 meters of this block, it would execute it if it was R, but RM means it needs to be outside, so it's kind of excluding that area within. So then it's 2 blocks lower, 2 blocks to the left, and, well, not left particularly, but -2 in the X and -2 in the Y, and -2 in the Z. That's just so it makes this next command a little easier. So it basically fills a 5x5 area around the TNT, and replaces all the grass in that area with more TNT, which kind of triggers this chain reaction thing, which is why the explosion grows and grows and grows, kind of replicating what it does in the films. So yeah, that's why I'm using just Minecraft TNT 0 replace grass, so all the grass will just be turned into TNT. So the next one is kind of a bit of an odd one. This was like one of the last additions I did to the Death Star. It kind of just looked a bit flat otherwise. It was kind of like a disc of TNT spreading out. But to make it look a lot more epic and a lot more like the films, I wanted to lift up chunks of land and kind of shoot them into the sky, which makes kind of a big wall of dirt and stone and grass. Well, not so much grass because it gets turned into TNT, but basically it just picks up the ground terrain and puts it into the sky, which is just what this command is doing here. It's just saying, again, outside the radius of 75 meters, it's going to like clone the ground underneath the TNT, which is basically what that command does there. And it only copies the solid blocks, it doesn't copy the air blocks, otherwise it looks a bit funny. And then it's just moving it. It's not like cloning it, copying it and pasting it. It's more like cut and paste. It's just lifting up almost. So moving on, we've kind of done all this. I'm not going to fire it up yet. We're going to have a look at that in a second. We come on to this target locking, but first we're going to head down here and have a look at these commands here. So we're just going to mine out this area and we're going to expose the command now. There's one of these in all 4 corners, and this is the sort of thing what focuses it into a point. The more of the point bit kind of comes when it fires down from the target locking command, but these kind of make all the beams converge into one. So if we have a look at this command here, it's quite a simple one. Again, the entity data and the TNT within that radius, so that's where you use the R equals 4 within the 4 blocks of it. So this one you use motion 2 and 2. So what this one is basically doing, if we have a look at here, is projecting it out in the X coordinate and also up in the, is it, I can't remember what coordinate it is now, the up one anyway. So yeah, that's what it's doing basically, as you can see from the motion. So it's firing out in the 2 in the X, and it might be Z actually, this one, and then 2 upwards, and also resetting the fuse so it doesn't go off in the air. So all these are doing it, they're kind of just doing it in different ways. So this one is moving it down instead of up. That causes all the beams to converge and into one point. So that took a bit of like working out after that to get to the target locking part. So, following from the kind of focusing and converging to a point, this target locking bit probably took the most time because there is one specific point where it converges, and I figured out the distance in relation to this crystal here of that point, and basically from that it kind of groups all the TNT up together. It's collecting all of them in like a radius of, oh, I thought it was in a radius 2, maybe not. I'm a bit confused by this. Oh yeah, entity data, here it is. Yeah, in a radius of 2 here. So it's collecting all, that's the ender crystal what I was looking at a second ago. So the entity data is basically saying in that area where it all converges, tell every bit of TNT in the radius 2 to move forward in a certain direction. So currently it's set as 4, but when I did it on the video, I believe it was -8 or something here. So it made it point down towards the ground. So it's kind of going 4 along and 8 down. And if you do a bit of Pythagoras, you can kind of figure out how far it's travelling down, and you can do a bit of trigonometry to find out the angle. So that was very useful for when I was doing it. So you can just kind of you pick a point on the ground and do a bit of maths and figure out where it needs to kind of point to and converge, and use these this motion tag to pinpoint that one point on the ground. So you can basically, so if you see like a building over there you want to fire on, you get the coordinates of that building, do a bit of maths, and you can input it into this target, what's it called, target locking, and it will fire on that target you picked out with the coordinates. It's not the most accurate, but it's pretty accurate. Probably hit within like 5 blocks or so, I guess. So yeah, that is basically what the target locking does. You can put any coordinates in here and that's what it's firing. Again, it's resetting the fuse just to make sure it doesn't go off anywhere near the Death Star, because that will be very bad. So we've covered the beam accelerator, we've covered the target locking, we've covered the full power beam, and we've covered the artificial gravity, which leaves one thing. This is what makes like the Death Star work. This kind of summons all the TNT in and fires it down the area. So it kind of works like the beam accelerator, where it's replacing blocks. This time it goes underneath it. So look, where can we find it? Yeah, it's just there. So this one here is summoning in the TNT like I showed before, and it's replacing this block here. I'm not going to replace it because obviously it'll start with Death Star. I will do in a second once I've got everything configured. But yeah, it's just replacing those blocks again. So this one with stone. However, this one over here is with a redstone. So to fire this, you pretty much can do it in any order bar one thing. So you have to turn on all of these. Actually, we probably don't need to turn on this because we're not particularly firing at anything in the ground. This is a void world, so it doesn't have anything in it. So we just do target locking, and yeah, it looks all about right. Beam accelerator, you want that to be on, and you don't want to click on the initiate laser sequence yet. You want to turn artificial gravity on, otherwise the TNT will just hit sides of this and explode. So you want the artificial gravity to be on first, and prepare for a very loud noise. In fact, I'm going to turn my volume off. Doesn't matter, it was off, it just creates a massively loud noise when all the TNT starts exploding. So if we press this, you can kind of see what happens. The TNT starts firing into the crystal and it explodes. And as you can take note on how it's quite spaced out at the moment. It explodes, and then a very closely packed beam should start being produced from the laser. Here we go, see how closely packed it is, and this travels out here, starts to speed up, heads out of the laser, and if we have a look, it should be converging into a nice point and firing off into the distance, except from that one, probably because I broke it earlier when I went. Let's have a look. If I broke it, I probably did. Let's put that back there. So if we head out here, you can see it's now converging into a nice point that's going to explode and cause absolute havoc. Oh dear. We can see it could converge into a good point and then fire off into the distance. So that is basically what it's doing, and the previous Death Stars which didn't work, and there is just kind of the inside of the Death Star without any interior decoration, just kind of the bare bones of it. So you can see like the big tubes with the like crystals at the bottom. The crystals are kind of irrelevant to it, but they do kind of, you don't need them there at all in fact, but they do compact the TNT into like a bit more of a solid beam, so it's less spaced out for this part. But it is like just unnecessary really. However, in the film, like the lore of it is that they have these big super laser crystals, the Kyber crystals, and they are the things which power the lightsabers and power the Death Star. So that's why I put them in there, just to kind of keep it with how Star Wars says it works. So yeah, let's turn this off because it's probably going to lag out my game. So that is the Death Star. So you can see them all whizzing through here and then firing out into the distance over there. Very cool. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the kind of talk about how the commands work. So pretty much the final part of this video is having a look kind of the effect of what the Death Star causes. So we're going to go have a look down there. Just beforehand, we're going to fire the Death Star, and I just want to mention, sorry for the really like loud clicking noise of my keyboard. I've not got the quietest keyboard at the moment, so yeah, sorry for the loud clicking noise what you'll hear. So we've edited the command, so I basically wanted to fire on that hillside. I've kind of guesstimated the angle, what we're going to do it there. So yeah, we kind of guesstimated that one. And full power beam, we probably don't need that because we're firing into a like largely stone area, although we will just turn it on. Beam accelerator, we want that to be on, and artificial gravity is on. So we're going to initiate laser sequence. It's going to fire the laser, and hopefully we'll be able to see that it should fire roughly on that kind of top bit of the mountain just around there. Have a look, and there we go. So you can see it's firing, and it should hit around about now, hopefully. And I'm going to turn the beam off just because it's not needed now. We've fired it once. So you can see it makes quite a large hole in the area, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's just a tiny little fire there of it. Let's turn all these off, and now we're going to go have a look down in that area to see how it, what the effect of it is. So if you've seen my series on building a Star Wars theme map, which I'll leave a link to now, you'll know that this map usually looks very pretty. Well, in my opinion, it looks very pretty and quite scenic, but at the moment it really isn't. So if you have a look back to the video when I build the Jedi Temple, and as you can see afterwards, it's not looking so good. It's kind of got a big hole in the window. A lot of it has survived, but like the outer bit of it down here and stuff, like the extra rooms, really hasn't survived. Maybe like the underground bit. Let's see about this. Yeah, so it's kind of where it finishes, and then it kind of goes down a bit further, but this would be where the door is, and the door is now non-existent. So yeah, that is the old Jedi Temple. So now we come to the only kind of bit of a flaw with this Death Star what I've made, and that is the fact it leaves a load of floating blocks around. But it is Minecraft. It's a Minecraft Death Star, and Minecraft has floating blocks. So this is just kind of remnants from when all the terrain has been picked up and not fully destroyed from the TNT. So as you can see, there is a tremendous amount of floating blocks around. If you come over here, you can just see it gets more and more and more the closer you get to the epicenter of where it fires. It's not quite how the Star Wars film made it out to be when I went to go see Rogue One, but which is where I got the inspiration from this. But yeah, it kind of has just left all these bits around, and it's got quite a large radius from where it fired, and we're going to go have a look at this little shot up here. So as I mentioned, it kind of just makes a hole without the grass thing. As you can see, it just made a bit of a hole in the ground and started to lift up some terrain. So you can see it's just cloned it upwards. That you've got this bit of like fence here, which has just literally just been picked up and chucked into the air. See, it's destroyed a lot of the terrain. You'll find that buildings which are built on stone will mostly survive. Well, I say mostly. This is the spaceport, and there is a little bit left of it, but not much. And this was built on stone, that's why there's quite a bit of it left. But if you just had a building in like the middle of the grass, gone, that wouldn't be there anymore. Now I'm pretty much going to conclude the video here. I hope you've really enjoyed it, and I most likely will be providing a world download, well, it's more of a schematic download for the Death Star, probably hopefully in the future, not too long. So I'll be providing that so you can kind of pop into your own world and test it out. Warning, you'll probably need a fairly decent computer to render it out. You can limit the size of it using the more power command, or whatever it's called, in the Death Star. I can't quite remember what I named it now. But yeah, you can just kind of limit the size using that, just turn it off and it'll stop replacing grass with TNT. So I hope you've really enjoyed this. It's been quite a lot of work for small YouTubers, so if you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, because I am a small YouTuber, and likes are really, really important and really do help out. And I hope you see that it's been quite a big project for me to do, so I hope you've really enjoyed it. And if you have enjoyed it and think you'll enjoy some of my other videos, please consider having a look through them. And if you really enjoy them, don't forget to subscribe. It would really be awesome. And if you've got any nice comments to say, please do feel free to leave them in the comment section. So anyway, I guess we're going to wrap up the video. I hope you really, really enjoyed this, and because this is kind of a bit of a 100 sub special, thank you for 100 subscribers. So I hope you've all really enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from Crafting Redstone.